Hello, hello, my friends. Welcome back to the living room floor. It is one of the two places that I live stream in this house, so bear with me. I wanted to hop on here and discuss the topic at hand today. I was thinking about putting it in like an actual let me sit down and film and edit and do all of those things video. And then I basically realized that I was out of time because I wanted to get this video up during my Black Friday sale. And my mother in law is picking up my sister in law from the airport as we speak, which means chaos will ensue in a matter of hours. And it's just not practical. So, this also opens up the opportunity for you guys to talk with me and ask questions and things like that alongside of the conversation. So I figured, hey, why not? Let's just do this the good old fashioned way and do a little live stream about it, shall we? It's a big live stream day today. I also have my Patreon Zoom chat tonight, and I have discovery calls this evening, and it's gonna be a busy evening. But we're going to start with this. So, the topic at hand, as you guys can see, is I want to tell you a little bit about how one of my clients lost 28 pounds, 28.6 to be exact, and in 20 weeks, which is an insanely awesome rate of weight loss. And it didn't happen in the way that you would think that it happened. It didn't happen with super low calories. It didn't happen with super restrictive dieting or anything of the sort. It actually happened with the complete opposite, which is just another reason that it's helping me drive the point home that I have been trying to drive home on this channel for a while now. Eating more food is going to help you lose more weight. And within reason, of course. The basic rule is, right, as long as you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose weight. But it is also crucially important that we are fueling our bodies properly in order to see results like this. Now, of course, let's do the nice little disclaimer here. Every body is different, right? So just because this worked for this particular client doesn't mean that it's going to work as fast for other clients. I have other clients that have been slower losers, if you will, and that's fine. Everybody's body is different, and everybody's body will respond to different things at a different rate, in a different way, things like that. But this particular person was a prime example of what adding more food to your diet can do for you, which is awesome. So this particular client is 5'3", so you know, and 40 years old. And her starting weight, which was in the thumbnail, and I don't have the thumbnail pulled up, hold tight while I pull this up, was 162.4. And after 20 weeks, it was 133.8. How the heck did that happen? And only in 20 weeks. So many factors played into this, right? The first one was when she came to me, she had been doing Weight Watchers and things of the like, right? And eating really low calories, 1200, 1300, 1400. And the first thing I did was up her calories. And she was like, "What? What?" Like the hesitance was real because that's understandable. We are trained that lower calories is better, right? And so, of course, she's like, I'm trying to get this done, all of that. And the low calories was working for her. And when she came to me, the first thing I did was up her like 300 calories, I think. Maybe more than that. It might have been closer to 400 calories. And in doing that, she was like, "Oh my gosh, this is not going to work. Okay, I'm paying you to tell me my numbers, so I'm going to follow the numbers." And if you hadn't noticed, in 1 week, she went from 162.4 to 158 in the first week of increasing her calorie intake on a daily basis. Like, how crazy is that? And it just like, wow. Wow. And as I was going through and making this infographic that you saw on the thumbnail or that you might have seen on my Instagram or Facebook, or I think I posted it in the community tab too, I literally had to double take at some of the weigh-ins because I was like, no, there's no way she lost that much in 1 week. There's no way. I did something wrong. She tracked something wrong. No, She kept a very detailed log. All of my clients get a Google Drive folder. And in the Google Drive folder, we keep track of all of your weigh-ins and your tracker, which is a super in-depth tracker. I give you some documents to look at, links to your video calls, things like that. And she actually started with a separate document that was just a date and a weigh-in. So she had all of her in-depth tracker, and then she also had all of her weigh-ins, and they were all dated. And I'm like, no, this is actually accurate. Awesome. Cool. Like more that's better, but it was so mind-blowing to me to see because it is so not common for this to happen. So I upped her calories, right? I upped her calories and I gave her a heavy protein goal. And like the trooper that she is, she stuck to the numbers that I gave her. And the weight steadily decreased week over week over week over week, almost without fail. She only had, I think, three weeks of the 20 weeks where her Monday weigh in, the scale was up instead of down. Like, and that's totally fine. And they are probably equidistant from each other. I didn't go through and like analyze all of the when exactly did this happen, but we had plenty of conversations about like what causes weight spikes because while she had a Monday weigh-in chart for me on her tracker that we do daily weigh-ins. So we can start to get used to the concept of weighing in daily and seeing the fluctuations on the scale and understanding that the scale can change and that it's very normal for the scale to go up and down and up and down. And so the day before you might be like, I did nothing that warrants this gain. And then the more you look at it, the more often you weigh in, the more we can keep our eyes on trends, right? We can keep our eyes on trends. Hi, Amberly, good to see you. And so one of the trends for me personally, because I fill out the same log that I give my clients. I fill out the exact same thing for my coach, and I actually have one going right now that my patrons have access to so they can see what I'm doing during maintenance mode while I don't have a coach because girl needs accountability. So I set up my own accountability, but I use the exact same tracker. And for me, one of the trends that I noticed, and I only noticed thanks to regular weigh-ins, was I weigh more on Mondays, and I'm the heaviest on Mondays, and I'm my lightest on Thursdays, without fail, almost every week. That is my personal weight fluctuation trend. And the trend overall could still be going down or still be going up or still be going whatever. I was reverse dieting, so the trend was hopefully to not really go anywhere. But without fail, Monday I was highest, Thursday I was lowest, and that makes sense, right? So with the daily weighing, you kind of not numb yourself, but you learn yourself and you start to understand what your fluctuations are. For this particular client, the fluctuations were associated often with her cycle or if she had a bigger day's worth of food, both of which make total sense, right? Like when you're in your luteal phase, that's where I'm hanging out right now. I'm feeling fluffy, as I like to call it. And I'm like, it is not even a fault of my own. Like the clothes feel tighter and you just feel blah. And it's funny because I weighed the least that I have weighed since I've gotten to Florida this morning and I feel fluffy. So like it's totally normal to have those things, right? So we had the weekly weigh-ins for the chart, but we had daily weigh-ins to help talk her through what's really happening here. So what did we do? Like I said, we upped her calories first and it was wildly effective. One thing worth noting, and this is super important, this is one of the things that I tell a lot of people, and I'm starting to be a little bit more strict on. I did a post not too long ago about like things you need to do if you think or things you should already be doing if you think you're ready for a coach. And it was like eat at least 100 or 120 grams of protein, get 8 to 10,000 steps a day. And here's the reason that that is important, the 8 to 10,000 steps a day. This particular client, the reason that her body responded so well to the extra calories is because for the first time, her macros were right for her. But second, she regularly got 15,000 steps a day. Regularly. Some days it was 20. Like it was out of control. I would look at her tracker and it would put me to shame. I'm like, oh my gosh, she is outrunning me, outwalking me, doing all the things. Like A plus. But what happened there was, okay, so yes, she's burning all the extra calories, right? But I also increased her calories. So what's happening now? If she was moving that much on the lower calories, your body doesn't have enough energy to burn. Right? So your body's like, oh my gosh, you're using up all of these calories, but also you're not feeding me enough. So when I fed her more food, and she kept running and kept training and doing all of these things, her body finally was like, yes, I have the fuel I need now to be able to deal with this lifestyle. And the weight came off. And the weight came off because her body no longer felt deprived. It no longer felt like she was starving herself or undernourishing herself. And it was magical. It was absolutely magical just how seamless it all was. But the crucial part of it was she was eating above her BMR. She was eating the appropriate amount of protein and macros for her. She was not really depriving herself, which is something I'll get into in a second, but she was also active, very, very active. Can you lose weight without being terribly active? You can. Is it a lot harder? Yes, it is. Because there are two ways that we can create a calorie deficit, right? Way number one is to decrease the amount of food that we eat, but way number two is to increase the amount of activity we do. And I'm not necessarily talking about just straight up workouts here. It is more effective, in my opinion. Hello, puppy dog. It is more effective than if you get up and like you lift weights for an hour and then you're sedentary the rest of the day. I would rather you not lift weights at all and get 10,000 steps in a day. Get up, get moving regularly, go for a walk, park further away in the parking lot, do a lap around the store before you go and grab your food or wherever you are. I love in pre-pandemic times, I would love to go to the mall. And before I did my shopping, I would just kind of do a loop, do some window shopping, get a bunch of steps in, and then go do what I was there for, right? Increasing your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, is tremendously helpful. And the higher your steps are, the more the calorie deficit will be because you are feeding yourself appropriately, but still in a mild deficit. But there are a lot of people who, if they're more sedentary, the ideal deficit is a 20% deficit. And I can't put you in a 20% deficit if I bump you below your BMR. It's not allowed. It's a no-go. It's a hard stop. So that means that it is on you to increase your activity in order to create the remainder of that deficit, right? So that's what she was doing, eating more food, but moving a lot. She walked her dog a couple times a day and she was running a couple times a week. We did implement some weight training into her life and she was enjoying that, doing a little bit more weights and doing some strength training, and she would do it. We timed it so it would be, I think, on days that she didn't run. And that worked really, really well for her. It worked well for her to have the two dueling workouts because resistance training is a completely different kind of training than going for a run, right? It's completely different. Running is cardiovascular. If you're me, and I don't know how this is for like a normal body, but for the body with my muscles, when I run, even for like 2.5 seconds, and that's not even an exaggeration, my quads burn, but like in a way that like if I was overtaxing them with lifting, like how you get that lift burn. I feel that in my legs, but I don't know if that's just me or if that's normal. But all of that to say, it's still, even if there is a little bit of leaning out and strength can be gained from running. And I don't necessarily think that's the case. Resistance training is a very different animal, right? It's a very different animal. And so we threw that into her training as well, into her plan, and it helped a lot because now she's working her muscles in a different way, getting her heart rate up in a different way, and it worked really, really well. Lindsay, good to see you. Haven't caught alive in ages. Scrolled back to the start and put it on 2x to catch up. Saw the community post, thought it was awesome. Thank you. I think it's awesome too. I'm pleased as punch. Pleased as punch. And yeah, so all of that tied in a nice little bow is how she got started, right? But then there's another thing that we have to make sure that we throw in there is that she had days that were over in her macros. She did not eat perfectly. She did not eat perfectly. And that did not derail her progress. One day here, one day there is not that big of a deal as long as you are mostly consistent most of the time, right? So she would go out and have drinks with friends. She had just started like going back out and reintroducing herself into the world. And so she'd be like, oh, I'm going and having drinks tonight, or oh, I have a date tonight. And what we would do, she would actually send me the menu for the place that she was going and have me help her pick out what to eat. And we picked things that would make her feel like she was still going out and having something special. It wasn't always just salads or something like that. We didn't do that. We picked delicious, fulfilling foods. And even if it was pizza night, I'd be like, can we add something to the pizza night to make it just a little bit more nutritious and well-rounded overall? So most of the time, she did not feel deprived, right? And I think that is a crucial part to the success in anybody's weight loss journey. If you're starting to feel deprived, and to go back on the I tried Weight Watchers thing for a minute, my biggest beef with it, right, with that video was the mental stuff that it triggered for me, which is why I'm like, it's not for me. Because if you feel that way, then you're not going to want to stick to it. Then it's going to feel like just dragging yourself kicking and screaming, right? And you want the journey to be enjoyable. Are you still gonna have to make sacrifices? Yes, absolutely you are. But it shouldn't be the worst thing in the world. You shouldn't have to drag yourself kicking and screaming through your weight loss journey, because that's not fun. That's not fun. So learning how to live a little bit of life while you are in diet mode is totally acceptable. And that is what this client did. She would go out, she would have some beverages, she would order some food off of a really delicious menu. I was kind of jealous a couple of times when she sent me that menu, and I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds so stinking good. Um, and it was great. And all of that strung together really helped her to remain consistent in the journey. Not perfect, but consistent. And that is really the big key here is over time, the goal is not perfection. Perfection is a myth. Perfection is a lie. Perfection does not exist. And if you think it does, you are in for a pretty hard life. Consistency is something we can all focus on. And consistency is something that is not easy, but it's simple. It's simple in concept, right? So as long as you wake up and you're like, today, the goal is to get through today. And then you wake up the next day, today, the goal is to get through and hit the goals today, right? And as consistent as you can be, the better off you're going to be. But if there's a party, if there's Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving is coming, the holidays are coming, that could be a whole subject for another video. But do you have to diet on Thanksgiving? No, you don't. And it's not going to derail you if you've been doing this for 6 or 7 weeks. One day is not going to hurt you, you know? And this client knew that. And when she struggled with it, I was there to remind her of that, right? And then something very, very important to note is me, I do not do cut periods for more than 16 weeks, really. You're not supposed to. You should do a diet break, right? Um, this says you can't see it, but it's the picture. But Brianna, if you don't do cut periods for more than 16 weeks, why does this say 20 weeks? Why was she losing weight up to 20 weeks? Funny you should ask. Thank you. On week 14, I have a little circle, a little sticker, and it says started reverse diet. So she got to 14, let's say 13 weeks. She got to 13 weeks, and then she started to feel the mental repercussions of being on a diet. Took her 14 weeks, which is an admirable amount of time. But then she started to be like, I'm starting to feel deprived. I'm starting to feel like I don't want to do this anymore. I'm starting to feel like, is this enough? And then she started battling with herself over, do I want to stop or do I want to hit my goal? Because at the time she was 4 pounds, 4.6 pounds above her goal weight. And the week she stopped, that's actually interesting, is she gained almost a pound from week 13 to 14. And week 14 is when we started her reverse diet. But she started to feel that mental stuff, and her biofeedback started to struggle and things like that. And so I was like, okay, you know what? There is no rule that says you have to get down to this number of 135, which is her goal weight. And you don't have to get there. It's okay. Like, is the 4 pounds really gonna make that much of a difference in the terms of what your body looks like anyway? You know, what else can we do and what else can we focus on? Maybe it's time for you to take a step back from weight loss mode and let's do a reverse diet. Let's get you up to maintenance mode for a while. And so we decided to do that. I know that feeling. Should have ended my cut about a month before I stopped it, but it was still hard. Yeah. And so she didn't want to let go of that number, but she wanted to let go of fat loss mode more. So we agreed, we're like, okay, we're going to start gradually increasing your calories. So we did. And we started a reverse diet. And if you guys looked at the infographic, you will see that even though we were adding calories into her diet and reversing her, she not only hit her goal weight and continued to lose. Gracie, not now, please. This dog, this dog. Gracie, come here. Life with a dog, y'all. Life with a little yappy dog who thinks that this house is hers, even though it's not hers. We reverse dieted her and she continued to lose. She continued to lose weight even after we declared that fat loss mode was done. Now she's throwing a tantrum as she's walking away. The attitude on this animal, though. So she ended up getting down in 20 weeks to 133.8. She surpassed her goal weight, even though she let go of weight loss mode and we started increasing her calories. All of these things put together are the things that gave her her success. And I just wanted to give you guys the little behind the scenes of what actually happened here and the kind of things we did. I set her macros higher. I set them where they were supposed to be. That was on me. It was on her to be like, instead of throwing a tantrum about it and being like, but it's more food, she followed my instruction and she found success. And then it was on her to also make sure that she was being as active as possible. And granted, it helps if you have a dog that you have to walk a couple of times a day. And it also helps that you're a runner. Did she have those things going for her? Yes, she did. But even if you don't, yesterday I got 12,000 steps. And I just went for a walk yesterday to make sure that I was intentional about my steps. You know, you have to make the choice to put in the work to gain the most out of a weight loss journey, whether it's coaching or not, whether you have a coach or whether you don't. The coaching part is for the accountability and for the guidance, right? Many times that I talked to this client, she would message me about body image issues or clothes issues. Like, I got messages from her all the time, and that's what I'm there for. We use an app called Voxer. Me and my clients use an app called Voxer, and you have access to me whenever you want me. If I don't answer because it's after office hours, it's fine. I'll answer you the next day. But I've gotten people being like, I need you to talk me out of going to the fridge and mindlessly snacking. I'm messaging you for accountability because I have donuts in the break room and I do not want to touch the donuts. So I'm telling you about the donuts. And then she'd be like, I am feeling fluffy today, even though the scale is down and I don't know how I feel about it. Can I talk through it? And or the opposite, the scale went up and I don't know. So a lot of times when my clients complain about the scale going up, I will open their tracker and I'll be like, okay, let's talk about it. What happened yesterday that it's not a tantrum, it's dealing with mindset issues about adding a lot more food. It's kind of a big thing. That's fair. That's fair. I absolutely love the hyper focus on protein that you've been on the recent past. I'm 100% in the high protein camp and plan to increase my protein intake as I age. Yeah, that's a great, it's a good way. It's a good way of life. And when you front load your protein in the day, it's very easy to get all of your protein in. I got, I think, 150 grams of protein yesterday. It was great. It was great. So yeah, it's hard. It's hard to add food. I'm not discounting that, Amberly. I know, I just went through the reverse diet and I had the same problem. I'm like, this is too much food. What am I supposed to do? This, like, adding all the food was hard at first, but trusting the process is an integral part of the journey, right? It's hard, but you could be super negative about it. You could be dragged kicking and screaming trying to do it, or you could be like, okay, this is the plan. Let's go. That's kind of what I meant by the tantrum, like but I don't want to, but I'll do it, but maybe I won't do it. Call it whatever you will, whatever word works best for you. But It's still hard, yes, but something you have to commit to and something you have to do. And so just all of those things tied together just had her success be so seamless, which I just thought was really, really great. And I do want to continue to share client successes with you guys. I have a couple of reverse diet clients that I also want to talk about because they also trusted the process, followed the plan, increased the food as hard as it was. Um, and did it and have great results to show for it. I have people eating hundreds of calories more and measurements with no change. No change. I have one client who I'm literally baffled. I look at her weigh-ins every week and I'm like, we're still going up. Like she started with me at the beginning, at the launch of my coaching, and we're still going up. I was like, how are you doing this? It's amazing. And it's trusting the process. We had a couple of weeks where I'm like, how are we feeling about raising? How are we feeling about not? And she's like, well, maybe can we stay this week? Can we let my body adjust a little bit? Absolutely. It's a lot of back and forth and communication between the two of us. And it works out really, really well. It's weird. I was actually surprised how little I got to eat, especially compared to hearing other people talk about how shocked they were when they saw how high their BMRs were. What do you mean, Lissa? How little you got to eat when? Jade Teta has a phrase, is your SHME, is your schmeck in check? And it's talking about sleep, hunger, mood, energy, and cravings. When those are in check, your body will release unneeded fluff. Oh my gosh. I need you to text that to me because that's freaking brilliant. Is your schmeck in check? Sleep, hunger, mood, energy, cravings. And yeah, so the schmeck, what you're saying, I don't even know who Jade Teta is, but I like her already. I like her already. That is your biofeedback, right? Everything in there is all biofeedback. It's not your actual macros. It's not your workouts. It's none of those things. But having your schmeck in check is all the biofeedback stuff, which is crucially important. It is crucially important. And that is one of the key factors of when you see all of these posts about should you reverse diet? Is it time for you to take a break from weight loss mode? Things like that. What you find is one of the key indicators is your biofeedback sucks. And for me, that was one of my things, right? My hormones were out of whack. I wasn't releasing weight and I didn't know why. Turns out that I probably haven't had an adapted metabolism, y'all. Adapted metabolism. I can use words. And because of that, the weight wasn't coming off. It just wasn't happening, right? But when you're like, is my biofeedback okay? How are you sleeping? How are your hunger levels? And the hunger levels can go one of two ways. You could either be ravenously hungry, and we have to kind of figure out what's going on there, or you're not hungry. And for me, one of the things is I can go some days, I can go without eating until 11 o'clock, you know? And it was after I started reverse dieting for a little while that all of a sudden I would start to wake up ravenously hungry. And I was like, what? What is this life? Why am I actually hungry? And the answer was my metabolism was starting to turn back on. I was actually burning off the food that I was doing. And my body's like, oh, it's time for more. That is hunger is normal. Hunger is totally normal. And there's just a balance, you don't want to be hungry all of the time, but you also don't want to be not hungry. There are people who can't follow their hunger cues because they don't know what it feels like to be hungry, you know? So that's super important too. Mood is a big one. Energy is a big one. Being in a calorie deficit will notoriously tank your energy because it's literally you not giving your body the energy it needs. Calories are energy, y'all. Calories are energy. So if you are in a calorie deficit for too long and all of a sudden you are like, why am I tired all the time? It's because you are underfueling your body, which is what's going to get us our weight loss that we're looking for and our fat loss, but it is not going to do good things for our energy levels long term. So adding the food back in, taking the diet breaks and things that are necessary like that are what's going to help us refuel our body and make our body go, oh, wait, you are fueling me. Great. And you'll have more sustained energy with more fuel because food is fuel, right? And then cravings. Yeah, if you can get cravings under control, all of that, the weight is magically just going to melt a little bit. Maybe not magically, you still gotta do the work, but you know what I mean? So yeah, get your schmeck in check is the biofeedback. Overall, in my cut, my reverse, where I was still often hungry no matter what I ate, when I went on to healthy, you can stop calling it I track bites. It is no longer I track bites. It's healthy. Healthy with an I. Um, and I saw what they said I should eat for half a pound per week. The number seemed really low. Yeah, and I haven't done, I think I compared what I saw on healthy to my macros, and I think it was I think it was actually close for half a pound a week. Don't do the 2 pound a week jazz. Don't do that. Do the half a pound a week always. If you are in a tracker, pro tip, if you are using a tracker and you are not using a coach to help you figure out your calories and your macros, whenever you are using MyFitnessPal, Healthy, Lose It, whatever, always set it for losing half a pound a week because you want to be fueling your body with as much as possible. Dr. Jade Teta. Teta is a guy who wrote a book about eat more, eat less, more, move less. I am fascinated and I need to read all of these things. I need the details. And it wasn't really, but I definitely didn't have that moment of shock that my calories seemed too high. I actually looked at them and went, really, that's it? But that's because you are the one who was eating all of their calories on like the Weight Watchers plans and everything. You ate so much produce that it was easy for you to rack up the calories. So it's not surprising that for you, your calories felt low to you because it like the reality is it's still going to be restrictive calories. I'm not saying that being in fat loss mode is going to feel completely effortless. Gracie, there's nobody even there. There's nobody there. Oh my gosh. But so it's a diet inherently is going to feel restrictive and it's going to feel Gracie, come here. I don't have anything to lure her here with either. Usually if I had a toy or something, I'd squeak it. But it's not going to feel like all sunshine and rainbows. Trust me, my cut coming up, I'm going to be in the 17 or 1800 calorie range. And after hanging out at 21 and 22, I'm going to have to make sacrifices. And that just is what it is, you know? So while it is always going to feel a little bit restrictive, especially if you are somebody who's been eating in a healthful maintenance for a while, yeah, of course it's going to feel restrictive, but it's not going to feel dramatically restrictive. It shouldn't feel overly restrictive. It shouldn't feel like you are dragging yourself. And when I say dragging, I'm picturing like someone like climbing the side of a mountain and like getting their nails caught and the nail, like the dramatics. That's kind of what I visualize. And like it shouldn't be like that, but it is going to take some adjustment and it is going to take some sacrifice and it is going to take some food swaps and things like that, you know? Gracie, that's enough. Not eating, not including. Gracie! Come here. She is so mad at something. Gracie? Anyone else have a yappy dog? Oh, come here. Come here. No, just switch to the other window. Come here. Come. Come on. Gracie, come right here. You lay down. Thank you. Okay. Now that we're done having a tantrum. Oh my gosh. Oh, she's singing the song of her people. That's exactly what she was doing. Were you singing the song of your people? Oh, you had to sing the whole opera, huh? Yeah, I know. It's so hard to be a little guard dog, isn't it? I'm waiting for her to boof again because she doesn't let it go. Oh, now I hear a truck outside. Maybe that's her problem. I also took full advantage of the lower point proteins and was afraid to eat anything sweet most of the time. Yeah, exactly. So now that you're back into that, if you switch to calories and everything, it's going to feel low for you. You know, Gracie, come here. She's such a little jerk. My cat came to investigate, I'm sure. Yesterday, she set off someone else's dog too. um, are we just Are we just in for a few weeks of Sassy Puppy live streams? Yeah, probably. If I go upstairs to the study, she won't be there. But I was too lazy to go upstairs to the study today. I needed the room with the most natural light because the weather is actually really gross today. So if I went upstairs, it would not be awesome. So, but some live streams, I will probably be up there tonight for our Zoom call, depending on just there's going to be a hockey game and Kristen's going to be home, so it's going to be loud. So I'm probably going to hide upstairs tonight. Um, but my cats don't care. You mean the room of requirement? Yes, the room of requirement. That's where I will be. That's a good girl. You lay down. Okay. Yeah. So in a nutshell, now that we're randomly going off on small tangents, but that is how my client and I worked together and she lost 28 pounds in 20 weeks. Like, I can only hope that my cut goes that well. Like, I can only hope that, like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And it's fun. It's really fun being a coach while I'm working on my own journey because I take inspiration from my clients, which is a lot of fun. Like, I'm motivated by her results. And I'm like, wow, if she can do it, I can do it too, you know? And it's funny because I'm the one guiding her through it and I'm still sitting there in awe of like, look at that. Look at what she did. How can I apply this to my life? I loved it. On such a glowing experience with your client. What a great testimony for your business. Thank you, Lindsay. It's just I'm so what are you doing? Hey, quit eating your foot. You are just full of problems today, aren't you, little dog? So I just wanted to make sure I shared that with you guys because it is it's something that I'm very proud of. It's something that she is very proud of. And it is something that at the end of the day drives home the importance of the stuff that I have been preaching on my channel lately. And that's good. That is good because I can say things all day long, but until I have proof, it's going to be hard to get you guys to believe me, to trust me. And time again, I'm starting to bring you proof. And so I wanted to just share that with you guys. Okay. Do we have any questions or comments before I leave you for the evening? The evening. It's 4 o'clock here. I guess I could call it the evening, I suppose. Mm. In other news, while I'm waiting on comments, no, not next week, couple weeks, December 3rd, is our actual planned live stream. But I believe that's probably also the week that I will end up starting weekly morning live streams. Wednesday the 1st, we get a live stream on the actual 1st of the month next month, y'all. How prevening. Yes, it is prevening. Before I leave you this prevening, I like it, Lindsay. I like it. All right, my friends. Well, that is that. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below or go ahead and message me on Instagram. Worth noting, my Black Friday sale is going through the 29th, I believe. And if you have your coaching applications in by then, you will get $100 off of your 12-week program plus a free week of coaching plus an extra coaching, like a Zoom call with me. It's a great deal. So if you have any questions about any of that, you know how to reach me, my friends. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you found this helpful, and I will talk to you later.